Good morning, everyone, and welcome to NYSE Live. I'm Kristen Scholler here in studio at the Stock Exchange. We do see equities fractionally higher pre-market, getting a lift from tech enthusiasm. Shares of chip makers led the way after Taiwan Semiconductor earlier this week provided an upbeat outlook for spending and sales. Yesterday, the U.S. and Taiwan also reached a trade deal that involves Taiwanese chip and tech companies investing at least $250 billion in American production capacity. While the stock market rally continues to broaden out with the small cap Russell 2000 index higher too, and experts believe more stocks can benefit in this new year on the back of economic resilience. Let's take a look at what's on tap this hour. Jason Tartick, CEO of Rewire Talent Management and host of the Trading Secrets podcast, is going to join me to discuss how people are thinking about money, culture, and well-being in 2026. Plus, QNX, a division of NYSE-listed BlackBerry, revved up excitement at CES 2026 last week in Las Vegas. And buckle up to see what the company is developing when it comes to its automotive software solutions. Then at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Tech Create Group is going to ring the opening bell to celebrate its recent IPO. Later on in the hour, we'll head down to the trading floor and speak with the firm's CEO about why now is the right time for it to access the U.S. public markets. We begin, though, with the overall stock market, as we always do here on NYSE Live, and we do see what is set to be a strong finish to round out this week. Joining me now with more is Ben Emmons, founder and CIO at FedWatch Advisors. Ben, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, Kristen. Good morning.
How are things looking to you as we get started in 2026?
I think it looks pretty bullish. The recent data that come out the last sort of 2-3 weeks shows like one data firm firming after the other. Yesterday was very encouraging. Regional data also really strong. So it shows that the manufacturing sector is also pulling out of the slump, and the services sector is already holding up because of all the spending that consumers are doing. So I think we'll continue the bullish tone from last year. It's not going to be a year where we shift back to a really negative economy. In fact, actually, I think the economy will grow more faster this year than last year.
What data is most important to you in terms of painting the picture of what the economy will bring us?
Well, investment, that's key. Like when you talked just now about TSMC making $250 billion investment here, or a commitment, the White House has a lot of commitments, and that's 10, 20 times as much more than the previous administration. Not to be political, but from a macroeconomic standpoint, if most of that investment actually happens, we're going to be growing for several quarters, if not longer, at least 5% real GDP. So investment is really key. And I think it will happen. I do believe this administration is very different than previously. It's going to go after making sure these investments happen. It will be very significant for the economy.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the Fed does have a rate decision due at the end of January. It's first of 2026. What's your expectation for the path forward for borrowing costs?
So there are two things happening there now currently, right? One is that we're dealing with an economy picking up, with inflation staying above 2%, well above 2%. So a lot of Fed members will say there's no need really here to move interest rates at this point. They're not as restrictive anymore, but we cannot really bring rates much further down or we get inflation. So that, I think, is one view. But then we're having this developments that just happened over last weekend with Powell's position in play. That will make this press conference interesting because there's going to be a lot of questions about it, of what he will do when his term is up. And that is important now because there's going to be delay potentially of this next Fed chair nomination. At least that's the signals that are coming out of D.C. Mm-hmm. So for Fed policy, that begins then to matter because not only that they may stay on hold, but it's also about there's leadership shift, change, and that makes things uncertain, meaning they don't make any decisions as a result, and that's meaningful to markets.
Yeah, let's talk about yields and what you expect there. Of course, gold has been a commodity in focus as well. How does this impact those markets?
Yeah, gold is interesting. That it's a hedge that people want in their portfolio because we don't know what's going to happen. Whether they were going to get a strong economy, yes or no, investment, yes or no, what happens with Powell and so forth, or with Venezuela and Iran. It is a geopolitical year. It's really shaping up that way really quick, and it probably will stay that way. So headline risk leads to higher gold prices. That I think. But with yields, it's a different story. Very range-bound, awaiting, I think, one, what the Fed will do, and second, this economy that I described, I do think will break out, because if the economy gets stronger, yields going to go higher. It won't derail the stock market, but I do think that gold prices will eventually taper off when that happens, because when the good scenario starts to dominate, the geopolitics and headlines matter less. So I think gold has at some point a peak in this year. And I think that will be a change.
Yeah, that's because we've seen gold up double digits last year, right? Silver was up triple digits. So interesting to follow that commodity space indeed. So the Monday, the market is closed, of course, for a holiday. But then after that, we're going to see the World Economic Forum over in Davos, Switzerland, really get underway. Is there anything that you're watching for to come out of this year's Davos event?
So one, President Trump will be there, which has not happened for a while. And that is interesting because he's on the international stage there, really making, I think, the big case about the US and the best economy and all that sort of thing. At the same time, we have the Supreme Court deciding on the tariffs, potentially, next week again, is opinion day. And then there's the hearing about Lisa Cook and what that all means. So that all comes sort of together in 1 week with GDP data and PCE data. So Davos has always been a contra-indicator to me. Like when everybody's very optimistic there, it tends to be a different scenario in the markets and vice versa. We're in a geopolitical year. I think Trump's presence there will be more headlines, and therefore not necessarily everybody will be so optimistic, driven by those headlines. So good for the markets, but it is an interesting week as we get into it. So it's economy on display plus the Supreme Court. I guess what we're getting out of Davos is more of a picture about what Trump's intentions really is, like Greenland and Iran and Venezuela, and what this means for the U.S. economy.
Now, when it comes to the U.S. economy, the other factor that I think market participants are watching closely is the Supreme Court's ruling on U.S. tariffs. We have yet to hear from them, but do you think that the market has absorbed any tariff-related costs? And what about the economy?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because there's risk here. We've not only used those tariffs for our deficit spending, have used the tariffs for negotiations, for geopolitical reasons, for security reasons, and then obviously the refunds. Now the refunds, that's a very mechanical process. It will take years. But people have said, look, it will impact deficit expectations, so interest rates could react to that. Second, because it was a really flexible tool, is a flexible tool for President Trump to put on and off at any moment. That's kind of taken away if they rule that it's not the way to use these tariffs. So it's an interesting decision. It's also notable that the Supreme Court cannot make up its mind yet on this topic. So there's a lot of talk in the market that they may not at all. They just take much longer time to make eventually the decision, which gives the administration time to work in the other tariffs so that we don't deal with this issue about a sudden uncertainty how these tariffs can actually be used. I think that's what's sort of driving the market currently. Otherwise, there would have been more volatility.
Ben Emmons, founder and CIO at FedWatch Advisors, joining us here in 2026 ahead of Davos next week. Ben, thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Great
Good
to have you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, stay with us because up next, Jason Tartick is set to join to talk everything from the creator economy to a new category unveiled at this past week's Golden Globes. We'll have more on the other side of this break.
As we stand on the cusp of America's 250th anniversary, we're reminded of the principles that have powered the world's greatest economy.
The New York Stock Exchange is a cathedral of the capital markets, replete with rhythms and rituals that allocate resources towards socially valued uses. That story will reach a rare milestone when our republic marks its 250th year. Anniversaries of this magnitude demand more than just ceremony. They ask something of us. They invite us to reflect, to ensure that the future that we shape will prove to be worthy of the legacy that we've inherited.
And welcome back to NYSE Live. The creator economy is growing as more people consume social media. One firm, Rewire Talent Management, has worked with more than 150 of today's top digital creators to help create impactful brand partnerships and events. Joining me now with more is Jason Tartick, co-founder and CEO of Rewire Talent Management. Jason, great to have you this morning. Joining us from Nashville. How much have you seen the creator economy grow in just the past year?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. And most importantly, I'm just excited that you guys are covering this topic, right? Because there is like a macro generational shift happening in this industry where you got like millennials, maybe Gen X, maybe boomers, like influencers, creators, but you have Gen Z, Gen Alpha saying that this is their dream job. So when you look at shifts, it's massive. The whole ecosystem is changing. You have traditional media outlets who are employing individuals who are monetizing through marketing placement. Now the shift is happening where you're having these massive companies work with individuals, creators that are monetizing individuals through these digital platforms. And what's happening there? You're cutting out the middleman, you're increasing efficiency, and we're seeing the creator economy just absolutely blow up. So I started in this space in 2018. The first 3 years, there was a 50% increase in market size. You're seeing a compound annual growth rate now of 22 to 26% in the creator economy. And they're saying by 2030, it's going to be a $500 billion industry. So it's just too big to ignore right now. And I think the biggest shift you're seeing is everyone's starting to say, okay, I'm done judging this space. I need to get into this space, because everyone from the president of the United States to realtors in your local community are using the impressions, are using the platform to get what they want, get their message across, and make impact.
Yeah. It is fascinating now, the numbers, Jason, that you shared there. Walk us through the new trends that are defining this space and the way that creators are creating.
Yeah, so I think the biggest trend we're seeing now is creators have realized how much equity they have in their platforms and in their messaging. And as a result of that, they are getting equity within companies and or starting companies. And so you're seeing like at the top, right, like a Kim Kardashian owning Skims, which it has a huge impact on just the overall category of a B2C. You're seeing people like Mr. Beast have Feastables. You're seeing creators and celebrities like Logan Paul. Everywhere he goes, he has his prime drink. So you're seeing a lot of creators now have equity in their businesses, bringing them to life. And then you're also seeing a lot of cash equity deals where it used to be like, here's 20K, here's 50K for a post. Now they're doing equity blends. And I think one of the last things you're seeing is there's multiple shifts in income sources where it used to only be brand partnerships. Now people are building online communities where they're paying a Substack, let's say monthly service. They're getting paid to just, tag affiliate marketing, what they're wearing, how and why. And then there's also the Fortune 500s who are putting massive, massive dollars behind creators just because the efficiency is so much more effective than going to commercials, billboards, magazines, things like that. So it's exciting. There's a lot of change, and it's fun to be part of it.
I'm sure it is, Jason. What is Rewire Talent Management doing to stand out in the space?
So the biggest thing that we're doing is I think your traditional management firms they have so much talent they're managing, so they're getting so much inbound activity. And then based on the inbound activity, they'll go and negotiate. The reason why we're actually getting a lot of people interested in acquiring us is we are built on outbound customization. So 70% of our top line is all about hearing what a creator's dream is, what billboard they might want to be placed on, what company they want to work with, and we go and get it ourselves. The biggest thing is there still are so many middlemen in this space. There are different agencies, different platforms. We've done a really good job of implementing technology to see where those margins are being taken in the middle before it gets to the creator. And as a result of that, I think we negotiate the best rates. But in this space, it's all about customization and making the creator's dreams come true, because right now, so many of the traditional agencies are just taking the inbounds and running with them.
Jason, you're a creator yourself, including with your podcast, Trading Secrets. How is it going, and what do you want listeners and viewers to take away from it?
Trading Secrets has been unbelievable. Top 25 entrepreneurship and business podcast. The biggest thing with Trading Secrets is I remember when I first did this in 2018, I had a little swipe up. My buddies are like, dude, what are you doing? And they'd be making fun of me, swipe up, swipe up. And I said, how much do you think I made on that swipe up? And I would tell them, and it was more than I made in 1 month's salary as a senior vice president at a banking institution with an MBA and 10 years of experience. Their minds were blown. And it hit me. we as a country were never taught anything about money in our school system. We weren't taught how to talk about it, and we don't open up these walls of financial transparency. So with this newfound platform I was given, I was like, what if I could go to the people that we look up to, the people that we watch on TV, the people's content and books we consume, and ask them, how did you get to where you get? But most importantly, how much money do you make? And so we've had such interesting conversations from like a Chris Voss, who was the former head of FBI negotiation, tactics he's used to advance his career, but dealing with some of the toughest situations that individuals can use in their career. We've also had someone on like Robert O'Neill, the man who shot bin Laden. And then when he shot him, talks about the day he shot him, he didn't have $1 in his bank account. Or we get fun athletes like Rob Gronkowski to talk about how much he maybe made in a partnership or fun stories behind the scenes of his career. And from the people we look up to, let's do a little less looking up to them and let's start learning through their financial situations and career navigation.
Heating up. In fact, the Golden Globes debuting its first ever podcast category last weekend, and Amy Poehler taking home the win for that. Jason, Happy New Year, and I hope you'll join us again soon.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much for having me.
That was Jason Tartick of Rewired Talent Management. Thanks again. All right, everyone, stay with us. Up next, one company shifted its operation into a new gear at CES by showcasing the next era of software-defined vehicles. We'll tell you more about that on the other side of this break.
The New York Stock Exchange is a cathedral of the capital markets. So there are a few places more fitting to consider the future of the American financial system than this one.
At the NYSE, we applaud SEC Chairman Atkins and the entire Trump administration for working to reduce the burdens on existing public companies and soon-to-be public companies.
I believe that we will ensure that the American story, which began in many ways just steps outside, is preserved not by memory or speeches alone, but by the courage of those who are determined to chart its next chapter.
When we talk about the titans of industry and we talk about the titans of finance, there's a reason that we're all coming together still after all these years to the corner of Wall and Broad Street.
We are ringing the opening bell this morning to celebrate the launch of 6 new ETFs by direction.
We look forward to many more. I mean, today's 6, we're going to do hundreds more.
The New York Stock Exchange, the home of ETFs.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. Over 4,100 exhibitors showcased their latest innovations at CES 2026 last week in Las Vegas. That includes QNX, a division of NYSE-listed BlackBerry, which showed the next era of software-defined vehicles. Joining me now with more is Sheridan Etier, QNX's VP of Engineering Middleware. Sheridan, it's great to have you on the show this morning. Joining us from Ontario, what are the key highlights that QNX showcased last week at CES?
So thanks for having me on the show. And it was actually hard to go over everything that we showed. We actually had so many things, incredible things that we were showcasing. But some of the real key highlights are we announced our new foundational vehicle software platform, Alloy Core. This was developed in conjunction with Vector. And really, this is the new foundational platform for developing the next generation of software-defined vehicles. So this was a major industry achievement and announcement. We were also showcasing our advancements in developing and growing our software development ecosystem with the launch of our QNX Everywhere platform. So it's about growing the ecosystem of software developers for the embedded software industry, how to create mission critical software platforms for everyday vehicles, automotive vehicle platforms, robotics, medical industries. So this was a key industry achievement. We've got now tens of thousands of installations and partnerships with hundreds of academic institutions in this growing ecosystem. And then also our digital cockpit platform, QNX Cabin, how we show a software cloud-first development platform, so you can develop automotive software platforms in the cloud, and then take that and show how you can move that over into the automotive hardware platform. So quite a few different things. We had collaborations. We had an Ionic 6 software-defined audio platform showcasing our new QNX Sound platform. This was done in conjunction with both Bose and Dolby, showcasing brand new automotive experiences in software-defined vehicles. So a lot of great things that we're showcasing.
And obviously, you really hit it home here with all these big announcements. Why CES in particular about that place made it where you wanted to unveil all of these updates?
Yeah, so really, I mean, CES every year is the culmination of key technology leaders, customers, partners, innovators, of course, the media and press who all want to know what's happening in the industry. And this year's CES was really about showcasing in the automotive, especially how the transition from sort of the traditional way of building software for vehicles to more software-defined, software-first development platforms really culminated this year. And this kind of shows obviously with our announcement of Alloy Core, which is our foundational vehicle software platform, announcements with companies such as BMW with their Neue class and how QNX is foundational to that. So it's really showing how the automotive industry is maturing, how technology is coming to a forefront, and really it's about how to modernize these complex systems and build the next generation of automotive systems.
What were your takeaways, Sheridan, from this year's CES?
Yeah, so I mean, this is really where the automotive industry is finally transitioning to modernizing their software platform. So moving to software-defined vehicles has been something that's been discussed and talked about and experimented with for the last few years. But now really it's starting to mature, and now it's not about automotive manufacturers, if they should move to software-defined vehicle platforms, but really it's how quickly can they move to software-defined vehicles and modernizing their software architecture, but also how they can do it in a safe and secure way, because obviously these are mission critical platforms and devices, and we need to be able to develop these new next generation systems quickly and easily.
Mm-hmm. How does this set up your division for 2026, and what more is in store?
Yeah, so I mean, we see a lot of opportunities going forward in the next year. So with the release of our vehicle software platform, Alloy Core, really it's about getting our customers to market as quickly as possible in building their next generation of automotive systems. So obviously a huge focus on that. But then we also see a huge opportunity in other markets as well. And so the revolution that's been taking place in the automotive industry for software, high performance compute, safety and reliability, now that's starting to move into other areas as well. Robotics, industrial automation, medical. And so these are huge growth opportunities for us to be able to take technologies and experience and lessons that we've learned in the automotive industry and bring those to other markets.
Mm-hmm. What most excites you about 2026, Sheridan?
Oh boy. So yeah, what excites me about 2026 is really the fast pace of innovation and change that's happening across the automotive and the greater embedded software market. We're seeing a huge transition to high performance compute platforms, which is driving more and more features and capabilities. There's also a lot of challenges though with automakers are integrating in millions of lines of code. The next generation of platforms are upwards of 500 million lines of code. So how can we help our customers build these complex next generation systems, both in a safe, reliable manner, and get them to market quicker? So those are some of the most exciting things, and really it's about also growth in other markets. The QNX Everywhere program starting to make available the world-class leading software development platform for safety certified mission critical systems. Growing that ecosystem, increasing the developer base, working with different academic partners and research institutions, and really about growing the QNX footprint and helping the automotive industry as well as the general embedded industry as a whole.
Sheridan Etier, QNX's VP of Engineering and Middleware. Sheridan, thanks again.
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, everyone, stay with us because up next we'll take you live to the opening bell here at the New York Stock Exchange.
"16 years ago, an anonymous person released an idea onto the internet. No identity, no institution behind it, no marketing strategy. It was just a white paper and a challenge to everything we thought about money. What if money were open instead of closed? What if it belonged to everyone instead of being controlled by a few? Bitcoin survived every attempt to kill it because the idea itself was stronger than the forces that tried to stop it. And now, today, inside one of the most iconic institutions in the world of finance, we honor a creator who never asked for credit, never stood in front of cameras, and ultimately stepped away so that the idea could stand on its own. Satoshi Nakamoto."
Why are we here? Because Magnum Ice Cream Company is an ambitious company. We're all about growth. And for growth, you need people and you need to have belief that focus on only ice cream will propel this business. These folks here in the room wake up every morning thinking about ice cream, and they go to bed thinking about ice cream, and that's why it will be a successful company that delights the world with unbelievable products.
All right, everyone, that's a live look of the opening bell podium. Tech Create Group celebrating its recent IPO on NYSE American. This is a Singapore-based software company. And our Ashley Masternardi is going to interview the CEO, who you see in the middle of that bell podium, a little bit later in the show. So stay with us. We do see markets officially off to the races on this Friday, looking to round out the week with gains. Technology names leading the way. And joining me now with more on the markets is Kenny Polcari, partner and chief market strategist at Slatestone Wealth. Kenny, great to see you this morning, joining us from Jupiter, Florida. And I got to say, I'm sure it's hot down there. These tech names look hot today. What do you think?
It's warm down here, but yes, tech does look hot, right on the back of what we saw yesterday, kind of continuing that that momentum that we saw after the Taiwan semi. But yeah, I think it's going to be another good day for stocks.
What does this Taiwan-U.S. trade deal mean when it comes to building out the broader tech capacity from a production standpoint here in America?
Well, listen, I think bottom line, I think it's great, right? We're going to move production onshore. We're going to have it here. We're not going to be dependent, to get them from Taiwan. There's always that geopolitical kind of nervousness in there between China and Taiwan and what could happen. Could they disrupt that chain? If they're built here in the United States, they're built on, in this country. And so you eliminate a lot of that kind of anxiety and nervousness. And so therefore, I think it's a big plus. I think once again, Trump has done an amazing job in terms of bringing manufacturing home back to this country on a number of levels, for workers, for manufacturers in this country, as well as for kind of security, right? National security.
Let's talk earnings season, because the big tech names, they'll be up next. But we heard from a lot of the big banks officially kicking off this reporting season this week. What are your takeaways from the results that we've received so far?
Listen, they've been great, right? I mean, every time you turn around, I don't think I've seen one miss in a company that grows avocados. Or beyond that, the banks have really reported well, and they were expected to be strong. They seem to be, coming in as expected. Their forward guidance, while cautious is not negative, I think it's okay to be cautious. Cautious is good, because then you always outperform. But I think you have to just be a little bit cautious when you're talking about what's ahead, right? We've got midterms this year. We got a lot of geopolitical stuff going on, and so it's okay to be cautious. But overall, I think so far the earnings have been great. I think what's interesting, and we heard it first from Jamie Dimon, which investors should just pay a little bit of attention to, is that JP Morgan increased their loan loss reserve account by a fairly substantial amount, which only means it's not about losses that have occurred. It's about potential future losses, right? So if he's a little bit nervous, what that suggests to me is that JP Morgan is allocating more money to that reserve account in the event that there start to be some loan defaults. Remember, there's a lot of people talking about, the economy slowing down and maybe there's going to be some hard times. I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm very much in the camp that the economy is strong and we're going to weather our way through this, and that's not going to be the case. But I think it's interesting that a bank like JP Morgan would have raised their allocation to that. It just sends a signal that they're being a little bit cautious, which again, I think is okay.
Yeah. It's interesting because as we see the technology names lead the large cap index today, we're also seeing small caps actually outperform overall. The Russell 2000 index up about 0.9%, Kenny. And we've had guests on this show talk about this stock market rally overall broadening out. Are you seeing that from your end? And if so, do you expect it to continue?
100%. And small SMIDs, right? Small and mid caps are a sector of the market that we are really bullish on. We've just launched our newest small and mid cap fund. It's performing well. You see that they're outperforming so far. The small and mid caps are kind of in the lead so far this year. They're expected to continue to do well. I think it's a space that had underperformed for a while, and I think this year is going to be the year that they're going to start to lift its head. And we've already started to see that. So yes, we're excited about small and mid cap. Look, they can be a volatile sector for sure. But that's exactly the point. So it's very much a stock pickers market in that space. But yes, we're very excited about it. And I'd love to see, I love the action we've already seen so far this year. And I expect that's going to continue through the year.
Mm-hmm. The stock market is closed on Monday for the holiday, but come Tuesday, we'll pick up with all sorts of headlines, I'm sure, coming out of Davos, the World Economic Forum starting next week in Switzerland. What are you watching for at Davos?
So listen, I think Davos is great. I read it's a big boondoggle. I get it, but they get lots of interviews. Government officials, CEOs of all these international companies that come on board, and they do all these interviews. So we learn a lot about kind of what's going on in all different parts of the world and what those C-suites are talking about their own economies, where they see their own businesses going. So that's always. For me, that's always the exciting part. But in the end, do I think that that what happens at Davos is going to change the investing landscape, or is it going to give me as a wealth advisor here a reason to change my strategy? I don't think so. It never has. But I always enjoy listening and learning from the interviews that I see a lot of the government officials as well as CEOs give at Davos.
Yeah, we'll be waiting to see what, if any, headlines do move markets next week. Kenny, great to see you here in this new year as we kick off 2026. That's Kenny Polcari, partner and chief market strategist at Slatestone Wealth down there in Florida. All right, Kenny, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Everyone's still to come. NYSE content creator Ashley Mastronardi was on the ground at CES 2026 as she's going to join me in studio to break down some of the biggest stories that came out of the event. Plus, the inaugural U.S.-Saudi Biotech Alliance Summit took place on Wednesday in San Francisco, and its co-chair, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, is going to join me to talk about his biggest takeaways from the event. Then I'll speak with the CEO of Tech Create. I'm going to send things down to Ashley to do that interview and today's bell ringer about his vision for the software solutions company in 2026. Stay with us.
I'm just so honored and so grateful to you, Lynn, for welcoming us to announce our Time Person of the Year, the architects of AI. I want to take a moment to welcome Chris Lehane. You have been an incredible driving force, making AI accessible to everyone, and we are so glad that you are here with us today. We are focusing on the leaders and the people and the humans that are imagining and building this future that we will all be living in.
We had somebody ask us recently, why are you going out at this time of the year? The reason we're doing this is for our people. It's not about us. Our motivation for doing this transaction is to make this a better place for the next generation. We have a stewardship responsibility to our people to give them a professional and a financial opportunity that's better than what we have. And what I am very proud of is the team that we have here. This is a true partnership in every sense of the word.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. The Consumer Electronics Show, better known as CES, bills itself as the most powerful tech event in the world. And a number of NYSE-listed companies were in attendance this year, including John Deere. Here's what the company shared about its latest innovations.
This is our 8th year at CES, and this year is all about automation. So how do we bring automation to our customers to make them more profitable and more productive? For example, this combine has 70 million lines of code, and we're, like I said, automating this job. So effectively, the operator is really just monitoring everything that's going on, but the machine's driving itself, it's turning itself, and it's making adjustments as it goes through the field.
Fundamentally, our customers just want to do more with less, right? They want to be able to produce the same amount of food that they would produce last year, but do it with less inputs next year. And so after CES 2026, what's next for John Deere is continuing this march of technology, automating equipment and bringing it to the point where we can finally start to contemplate full autonomy in that equipment, giving the farmer in this case the opportunity to think about not having to be in the cab of the machine to do the work.
What we're able to do is combine world-class, high-quality equipment with technology that really revolutionizes how our customers do their jobs. But it's really the combination and the integration of hardware and software, plus our John Deere dealers, that really can support and drive productivity and profitability and sustainability for our customers. Our mission is pretty simple. It's how do we help our customers do more with less? Automation is one of the most critical ways that we do that to help them be more profitable and more productive.
Ashley Mastinardi was on the ground covering all of the biggest stories. She joins me now in studio with more. Ashley, great to see you back at the Stock Exchange.
It is so great to be back, Kristen. We had such an amazing time covering CES.
It was cool to watch.
It was so exciting. It was so exhilarating, just the environment. There were robots sprinting on the conference floor. It was amazing. We had an awesome time.
Okay, so I know robotics was very much in focus. AI, I'm sure, was as well. Talk to me more about the big themes that you saw up close and personal.
Of course, you nailed it. AI, automation, and those augmented reality glasses. I had a pair of glasses on my face that had lenses in them, where if you read a menu in a different language, it would translate it for you. And of course, those were Razer glasses, and those glasses did so much more. But those were the themes. And I think that the thing that really struck me is that there was such a broad range of different industries there. And it's really like what we know here from our interviews at the New York Stock Exchange is that AI is touching everything. Even Brunswick, NYSE listed Brunswick, which is a boat tech company, was showing off their automated docking, and they had a huge, exhibition that we'll see in our pieces moving forward.
Very cool. Maybe it took a spin in Lake Las Vegas. Is that true? Yeah. Some of the boating technology, I think that's on display sometimes at CES. What other content can we anticipate here in the coming weeks to come from the conference, Ashley?
There is so much more coming from us. We did probably close to 40 interviews. America 250, we spoke with their chair. They're now a partner of the NYSE. We spoke to Caterpillar. We spoke to 3M. We spoke to Reddit. Reddit had an amazing activation with a juice bar where you can get your name etched on a cup. So there was just so much going on at CES. It was in Vegas. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. And we really hope that we capture that in the content that we're going to share with you throughout the coming weeks.
I think so indeed. I'm excited to see it. Ashley, you've been on the road at CES. You were at another conference, and so we'll have a lot of content to roll out in the coming weeks from you.
Yes.
And we're going to see you down there on the floor soon.
Yes, I'm about to interview our wonderful bell ringers.
Perfection. Ashley Mastinardi back with us at the NYSE in NYC. And in some other news here, we do want to turn to another event that unfolded earlier this week. The inaugural U.S.-Saudi Biotech Alliance Summit took place on Wednesday in San Francisco. It brought together leaders to accelerate the development, manufacturing, and delivery of next-gen immunotherapies and healthcare technologies. Joining me is one of the event's co-chairs, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong. He's founder and executive chairman at Immunity Bio and NantWorks and owner of the LA Times Media Group. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you for having us, Kristen.
Great to see you this morning. You're joining us from Los Angeles. What were your takeaways from this inaugural U.S.-Saudi Biotech Alliance Summit?
Well, it really emphasized the fact that the Saudi nation, and I've spent now some time there with the leadership, recognizes the value of the immune system and really moved very fast by reviewing all our data to say they need this for their nation and really to protect the nation, not just from cancer, but also from infectious diseases. So they approved us. It's the world's first approval for lung cancer, in which a combination of checkpoint inhibitors and our Anktiva, which activates NK cells, is now combined as a therapy.
Interesting.
And I think, Kristen, the importance of this is that checkpoint inhibitors, as you know, Merck and Bristol Myers, etc., is really one of the, maybe the largest product in their portfolio, an important product. Not only is the patent sadly going off, but what we discovered is that the treatment, when they receive that, is very temporary. But when you combine it with Anktiva, we almost triple the survival rate. So I think that really was the important message that came across during this summit.
How does this set up 2026? We're just a little over 2 weeks into this new year, Doctor, both for your company, Immunity Bio, and for this U.S.-Saudi alliance.
Well, I think it sets up not just for with Saudi Arabia, it sets up for the Middle East, it sets up for Europe. You know, we now receive approval for our bladder cancer in the UK. We're pending approval in Europe. And today I announced the most important announcement that in first-line BCG-naive bladder cancer patients, we've exceeded our expectations with regard to enrollment. We had revealed, and I don't think people had even recognized the fact that the FDA had asked us years ago to unblock or unblind a portion of the study that we had revealed, and we were already statistically significantly better when we gave BCG plus our Anktiva in BCG-naive bladder cancer. I think the power of the conference was also for us to reveal the power of the natural killer cell when you infuse the natural killer cell. So at this summit, and you know, I've been doing a series with the New York Stock Exchange to give them a day-to-day blow, and this is a little bit of the history of the catch-up of that. We presented on the last day the power of the natural killer cell that we could infuse into the body and target the natural killer cell to any element of cancer. So today we released and we presented some of that information in patients with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, in which we were able to achieve complete remission in patients with a rare disease called Waldenstrom non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And the duration of that remission is 7 months to 15 months, depending on these two patients, after only 8 doses of the therapy. We were really surprised by this result because the trial was designed merely to give a single 8 doses of our targeted NK cell called CAR-NK cell. So the rest of the summit was for us to reveal for the first time to the world that over the last few years we have used our strength in machine vision and AI to literally train a manufacturing robot to manufacture the cells without human intervention. And at the CES, we actually had a humanoid with cognitive capabilities that can work with that robot, so a robot working with a robot, to manufacture natural killer cells and T cells, with the goal that we would reduce the cost of manufacturing of cell therapy by 10-fold.
Wow.
It is not appropriate for just a wealthy person to be able to receive a CAR T cell therapy that could cost anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million. And we want to democratize this and make this cell therapy, especially the CAR-NK cell therapy, available to the world.
We have just about a minute left, Doctor. What is next for Immunity Bio?
Well, I think next is we on the march, right? The Anktiva. We hope that we can work with the FDA. This was developed in America. It's now available, sadly, for patients outside of America broadly with regard to lung cancer. And we're meeting with the FDA to speak to both the bladder cancer protocols and the BCG that we're bringing to the country, as well as our CAR-NK technology.
And they gave us a little bit more time, Doctor. So I'm glad I can ask you one more question, which is introduce our viewers to your background. You have an MD yourself. What was your journey to get to this place?
Well, my journey was, I was really fortunate. I ran the California Nanosystem Institute. I took over the National Lambda Rail, which is the fiber infrastructure that connected the Large Hadron Collider. So I was also a NASA scientist. So the idea of taking really technology, especially electronic and optic technology, and putting that into work with regard to medical biology has given me so great really opportunity to span really breakthrough technologies on all fronts for the betterment of treating patients. So I think what's exciting to me at CES, it's a decade since I've been to CES, was a demonstration of our cognitive humanoid, which is going to be used to help patients in the hospital it's going to be used to help GMP manufacturing of biological material, and will change the cost of biological manufacture and as part of the pharmaceutical industry. So my journey has been a really an exciting one, and really proud of the fact that we got Abraxane approved in first protein nanoparticle for chemo, and now the first cytokine, Anktiva. You know, I pursued this because the NCI in 2012 identified IL-15 as the most important molecule, the number one molecule that had a chance to cure cancer. And they tried to develop it for the last 10 years, and we succeeded in launching Anktiva as that molecule, this IL-15 superagonist. So I think we're on this path now in which really can change the paradigm of cancer care.
Wow.
And I'm really grateful to be able to present this to the audience such as yours.
Oh, Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, founder and executive chairman at Immunity Bio and Networks. Thank you so much for joining. Congratulations, and we hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone, stay with us, because up next, Ashley's going to be joined by today's bell ringers live on the floor of the stock exchange.
I know 100 years isn't much in the New York Stock Exchange laurels, but we're very proud. First U.S. airline to reach 100. The resilience and the determination to move forward despite all odds is something that I think we're all proud of. And we've had a great opportunity to celebrate this year. The power of obsessing on our customers is what makes Delta really great. And my superpower, I'd like to think, is obsessing on them, on these people, so that they can go do the job. And it's not just me, it's our leadership team in terms of making it happen.
It's a bit of a pinch me moment. I mean, everyone's here. Here we just rung the New York Stock Exchange bell. In a lot of ways, it's a dream come true. When you walk around the NYSE floor, it's just emblematic of the American dream. Look, if I can do it, others can do it too. So believe in yourself, work hard, be the best you can be every day, and it compounds.
A plan to go and change the way people fly. It is the next step. When we look back at what we promised to go do and then we go do it, it'll be the foundation of our business that builds us to the next step. And it's because of the people here and what you all did, which was enabling greatness.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. Earlier this hour, Tech Create Group rang the opening bell to celebrate its recent IPO on NYSE American. I want to then send things down to Ashley Masternardi on the trading floor with more this morning. Ashley, down to you.
Thanks, Kristen. Joining me now is Lim Heng Hai, Tech Creative's global CEO and board director, Wei Yi In. Good morning. Welcome to the New York Stock Exchange. Why was now the right time to go public?
The company has been incorporated for more than 10 years. I think we have reached the right point whereby certain amount of market capitalization will help us to grow. And US is actually a fantastic market that we are looking at the current moment. So that's why we have chosen to go public in US.
All right, and can you tell us more about the work that your company is doing and the general industry trends right now?
So the industry, starting from the industry trends, if we think about where the world is actually converging between payments, fiat currency payments, as well as the introduction of stablecoins, crypto, and everything that is happening with AI, the Tech Create is in the sweet spot because it has the ability to actually make a market inside of that convergence.
All right. And what are you going to be focusing on in the business in the next 6 to 12 months?
Like Wei has mentioned, we are actually in a very interesting sweet spots whereby I think we will be spending more and more R&D efforts on those AI components, on that cybersecurity components to actually protect our customers' solutions, and payments is really the way forward. We have been active in this, and we think that we can grow more in these areas too.
And Wei, what are some of the challenges facing the payment industry in the U.S.?
Well, the biggest one right now is actually the migration towards ISO 20022, right? Because that's actually been mandated. So it's necessary for both Fedwire and also for SWIFT, and basically everything for cross-border payments. And it also is the pivotal, technology that will actually enable everybody to be able to meet all the regulatory requirements for BSA, for AML, things like that. So anti-money laundering and countering terrorism finance, things like that.
And what is next for TechCreate?
Well, we're definitely looking at coming into U.S. market. We are looking at working closely with Wei and the team here to look at how we also can help the U.S. markets to adopt our solutions. Yeah.
All right, and how did it feel to ring that bell? I saw you up there. You look so happy.
It's quite an achievement for the team. I'm happy for everyone, and thanks for having us.
All right, congratulations on your recent IPO. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us at the New York Stock Exchange. Kristen, a super exciting morning for TechCreate here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. I'm going to send things back up to you in the studio.
Ashley, thank you so much. Ashley, of course, rejoining us here at the New York Stock Exchange after a few weeks on the road for work, both at CES and another conference. We'll be looking forward to seeing all of Ashley's content on the ground over the course of these coming weeks. Before we let you go, let's take a quick look at the markets. We do see what's set to be a decent finish to the week. Technology names leading the way today for a second straight session. The U.S. and Taiwan reaching a trade deal yesterday. The semiconductor chips gathering some momentum after those positive results from Taiwan Semiconductor as a standalone company, with upbeat outlook on spending and sales just yesterday. That impacted yesterday's session. The Dow is fractionally lower. But overall, again, these tech names leading. A reminder to our viewers, you can catch us each weekday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern on all the streaming services that you see right there on your screen. The market is closed on Monday for the holiday, but we'll be back in action like usual on Tuesday. And of course, a lot of Davos coverage to get to throughout next week. We'll be following the headlines and giving you the latest. And we hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks again.
Welcome to the public market.
The New York Stock Exchange is the cathedral of the capital markets. So there are a few places more fitting to consider the future of American financial system than this one.
So thrilled for this next chapter to begin today with all of you in this historic building.
The day we went public, it was the most bizarre day of my life. He said, yesterday, Shake Shack was the most beloved hamburger company in the entire country. Today, it's going to be the most reviled stock. He said, you guys are never going to grow into your $46 valuation. How many Shacks did we have 10 years ago? 31 Shacks. And did I not just hear Rob say that we're going to have 1,500 Shacks? So yes, we grew into that $46. It's all because of you guys. I'm so proud of you, every one of you. You work so hard to make so many people happy, and you make your communities better. What more could you ask for?